It's live. All right.
Hello world, we are live.
I'll hold it too. Okay, can you hear? Okay, can you hear me through that and through you? We're good? Sweet. All right. Hi, everybody. Everyone joining us online. Everybody here, thank you so much for coming. My name is Caroline Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, and I am very excited to welcome you all here today. We have a lot of people from POW and a lot of supporters here. We are outside the DC Federal Courthouse right now, where we just wrapped up day 2 of the last trial of the group of rescuers from a rescue that took place in 2020 who are being charged with conspiracy to deny the right of abortion, which, as we know, is not a right. We are coming here today to talk about our last rescuer, Paulette Harlow, who has her own trial happening right now, a bench trial, and we are seeing a lot of very upsetting and disturbing things happening over the past couple days leading up to her trial, and foresee a lot of very, very hard things happening for her in the future. Paulette is a very brave rescuer who used her body to defend babies like these from being brutally murdered just 2 miles from here by Cesare Santangelo at the Washington Surgery Center exactly 3 years ago. And she has continued to bravely stand up for these babies. She is here today sitting in court being told that what she did was wrong, what she did was a crime, what she did was trying to take something from somebody, but what she was doing was trying to not let babies like these be ripped to shreds inside their mother's womb. So Paulette is an elderly lady, and we have seen really, really disturbing things happening during this trial, as well as her friends and her sister, who are currently in jail. They are experiencing neglect. They're experiencing straight up abuse behind bars. Different people will talk about this today, but I want to specifically highlight her sister, who is also behind bars already, Jean Marshall. Just in the past 2 months, what she's been in Alexandria Detention Center, she has gone through having pneumonia and was severely neglected while she was trying to recover as a lady in her 70s who needed care, attention, warmth, proper food, medication. She was not given these things, and we just see that as foreshadowing and just a very small piece of what is going to happen to these people if they are sentenced to up to 11 years in prison, if they are continually neglected, continually abused behind bars, because we realize and we know that the government understands that charging them, especially people who are in their 70s, upper mid 70s, they understand that this is one step towards death by incarceration. And so we're going to say that out loud because it is the truth of what's happening. We're not going to shy away from that because we need these people to know that their actions and their abuse and neglect towards these brave, amazing rescuers is literally taking a step towards their death. So I have a couple people who are going to come up and speak today, but I really want everyone to understand what's happening here and what we are facing and what these rescuers are facing for their one action on that one day to save particular babies at Washington Surgery Center. I want to invite Teresa Petrovac up. She is the founder of the Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising and currently running for President of the United States. So welcome, Teresa. Oh, and speaking of which, we got a little procession going by here.
That's all for Teresa. That's her Secret Service.
Yes, I am the founder of Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, and I am running for President of the United States in the Democratic primary.
Closer to your mouth.
Closer. Is this good? Speak like right here. Okay, great. Well, This trial is just a total sham. This is the third trial that I've sat through listening to these witnesses, and it is just so profoundly disturbing watching the video over and over again, seeing these totally nonviolent, mostly elderly rescuers putting their bodies on the line for the babies, just in a very peaceful way. And the federal government has come after them in this way. It is just almost unbelievable to me. As Caroline mentioned, Paulette is 74 years old. She suffers from fibromyalgia. And this is just, it is death by incarceration. That's the reality of it. Joe Biden and the entire U.S. Department of Justice should be absolutely ashamed that this case was ever brought. They should be ashamed of using taxpayer dollars to do it. But they should also be ashamed for continuing to just turn a blind eye to the crimes that are actually being committed at the Washington Surgery Center, as evidenced by the 5 later abortion victims that Lauren Handy and I found last year, that we recovered from Santangelo's clinic. They deserve justice. This case should be thrown out. The rescuers who are in jail right now, they should be released from jail. The FACE Act should be repealed. Woo! And we're going to keep fighting for these things because abortion must end. Woo! Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Woo!
Thank you, Teresa. Is this still working? Okay, I'm gonna speak right into it. Okay, we are honored today to have someone with us who is very close to the rescuers who are in jail. The son of Joan Andrews Bell, Emiliano Bell, is here today and is going to say a couple words for you.
So today, as Caroline says and Teresa, that it's a shame that this has to happen. Back in the 70s and through the 80s and 90s, when Roe was first introduced, my mother, Joan, jumped up and thought that everyone would be appalled and will all go into the streets. However, she was very disappointed when she realized no one else would join her, because she was with the rights movement following Martin Luther King and Gandhi during their peaceful rallies. As the years went on and pro-life became more, let me rephrase that. When abortion became more known throughout the country, she and other groups got together and started rescuing throughout the country and even overseas. At one time, there were over 300 rescuers in one city doing several rescues at a couple different abortion mills. And she was one of the founding members and one of those groups called Lambs of Christ with the late Father Westland, also known as Stormin' Norman. He led the Lambs through so many of the battlefields that we are facing now. And in some areas in this country, they are following Canadian laws, putting bubble zones where even a sidewalk counselor has to be about maybe a block or two away from the actual mill. And for us, it's basically just doing nothing, because the mothers or the patients may be dropped off directly at the front of the mill and we can't talk to them. Otherwise, we will be violating the bubble zone. So please pray for Joan Bell and everyone else you see here who are in jail, Will Goodman, but also pray that we can end this child killing, which even though the states say that it's legal, it is not. The Supreme Court threw it back into the lap of the states. and now the states are deciding to kill their citizens. So I ask you to either pray, like us on Facebook, join us, if not physically, then virtually. Watch what happens, and we'll keep you posted. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, I want to invite up Dana Diamatia, a local activist in the DMV area. She has a couple words to say. She's a very dedicated sidewalk counselor in DC and Virginia.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being out here. Sadly, we're here again for another trial for the remaining member of the Garland 9, Paulette Harlow. Like Teresa said before, we've seen the injustice. We're supposed to stand here pretending this is a fair trial when we know it won't be. We know that there won't be justice. And what's heart-wrenching is that we know already that they had no mercy, this court system, throwing in Joan and Jean into jail. We know Jean, on top of having her pneumonia, suffering from pain and not receiving adequate pain medications. And we know now that Paulette is having a hard time even standing through this trial without needing to take frequent breaks. So they have no issue with still trying to drag her through this trial without having any mercy about her pain and her suffering. Then we, unfortunately, have to expect that they won't have any mercy on her and her sentence. And that isn't anything that we should be appalled by, because if you look at these 5, they had no mercy for them. They didn't care about their pain, their suffering. Why would they care about the pain and suffering of those that stood in between Santangelo and these innocent victims? We all ask you, for the members of the pro-life community, to remember that we have to just do more than just sit and wait. We cannot sit and pretend that it's going to get better with the next president, that it's going to get better with who we vote for, and only praying. We have to take action, because the action is what draws this out, what draws the ugliness of abortion out. It doesn't come from us just sitting at home. And if Jean and Joan and Paulette took action, what is your excuse? Look at what they did for these babies. We cannot sit here and say we have no reason to not defend. We can't say that we have no reason to not get involved. And unfortunately, you hear all these sirens on these streets, and they're not going to the Santangelo Clinic for justice. But these sirens were the same sirens that our friends heard when the FBI had to kick the doors in. And these are the same sirens that they hear to throw these people in jail when what they did was right and true and just. So please, jfor5.com, pray for those that are in prison. Will Goodman, Jean Marshall, John Hinshaw, Heather Idoni, Paulette hopefully not Paulette, Joan Bell, Jonathan Darnell. And always keep them in your prayers, and think of these babies always. And think of how if Joan, Jean, and Paulette did that for them, the least that we could do for these 3 is to support them. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys so much for coming out. I have one more speaker today. Yeah, I didn't mention at the beginning of this that the reason why we actually came out here an hour earlier than planned is because Paulette could not go one more hour in the courtroom. She couldn't go another hour without having to lay down, without having to have an ice pack, without having to, not be able to pay attention. And we had to end early on the second day of her trial. And we just see this as just such a small snippet of what is to come for her. And to reiterate what Dana said, if you have any feeling of maybe I'm not doing enough, I'm seeing these people sacrificing everything, sacrificing the rest of their lives, literally the rest of their lives for this cause. I implore that you please come and do something. There's no excuse anymore. And I just want to leave you with our speaker at the very end. Kristen Turner is the director of community organizing at the Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising. And afterwards, if you want to ask any questions, we'll stick around for a little bit.
The federal agents that are prosecuting these rescuers are murderers. I am not saying that to be hyperbolic. I am not saying that as a metaphor. I mean it literally.
Preach it, sister.
When you do a rescue, when you cross the property line into an abortion facility and you put your body on the line to defend an unborn child, you step in their place, you identify with them. When you step in the courtroom, you are given the due process that these children are not afforded. When you rescue, you become the unborn child. And for that reason, the federal government wants to see these rescuers dead, just like these children are dead. These rescuers, like many of us have said here today, have given the rest of their lives, perceivably, to save these children. They will not back down on a government who wants to see them dead because they identify with these children. They will not step down when they're in immense pain. They will continue to speak the truth through pain, through hurt, through injustice, because they know that these babies need us. And I see so many young people involved in the pro-life cause. And I want to see you guys step up. I know you can do it. I know you're capable. And I know that when you risk something, when you sacrifice for somebody, when you love these unborn children, you will feel fulfilled. You will finally realize, it will click in your head why they did it, why Jean and Paulette and Joan and all these rescuers risked so much to save these lives. When you hold these babies in your hands like Teresa and Lauren have, you have to say to yourself, what can I do? I can become the unborn child. I can step into their vulnerability. I can step into the position of oppression that they are placed in, and I can take their burden. So I say these federal prosecutors are murderers, just like Santangelo's a murderer. And what do we do for murderers? We fight back. We don't step down. We take direct action. And since the last trial, we've even introduced a bill to repeal the FACE Act.
Woo!
The FACE Act is done. Long live rescue.
Woo!
Thank you guys so much for coming. If you have any questions for us, go ahead and just grab someone. But I really appreciate you coming. If you're in DC, please come tomorrow to the DC Federal Courthouse for day 3 of this trial. We need all the support we can get. Thank you guys so much.
Woo! All right. I just see one more question from Melanie or Kristen. Teresa was referring to a video, and she wanted to know, is that video public? Can we watch it?
Of the rescue, the one that they keep playing before.
Yes, so there's a page on Facebook called DC4A, DC Anti-Abortion Advocacy, and you can go to their page, and there's long videos of many rescues on there. So the rescue here that they're doing in court, the rescue they're reviewing in court is on the DC Anti-Abortion Advocacy Facebook page. You can go see it there in the video section.
Woo, thank you.
Say bye.
Bye.